If you're a cannabis smoker, then you may want to watch this video. Hey everyone, it's Josh here from MindHeal, your go-to source for science-backed information on drugs and harm reduction. Today we're tackling a topic that has always been up in the air, sometimes controversial: cannabis and lung health. As cannabis legalization sweeps across the globe for both medical and recreational purposes, it's crucial that we understand how this substance interacts with our respiratory system. So let's take a deep breath and jump right in. Before we even get into the nitty-gritty of how cannabis affects your lungs, let's break down what's actually in this really well-known plant. You see, cannabis contains over 100 different chemical compounds, known as cannabinoids, with THC and CBD being the most well-known. THC, or delta-9 tetrahydral cannabinol, is the primary psychoactive component responsible for the high associated with cannabis use. On the other hand, CBD, or cannabidiol, is widely known for its potential therapeutic benefits without the psychoactive effects. THC makes you soar like a kite, while CBD keeps you anchored like a tree. But cannabinoids aren't the only players in this game. Cannabis also features terpenes, aromatic compounds that give the plant its distinct smell and flavor profiles. The cool thing is, terpenes may even contribute to the overall effects of cannabis through a phenomenon called the entourage effect, where the various compounds work synergistically to produce unique outcomes. However, with all the good comes the bad. When you smoke cannabis, you're not just inhaling cannabinoids and terpenes, you're also exposing your lungs to harmful substances like tar, ammonia, and carcinogens. In simple words, you're taking in a cocktail of chemicals. So what exactly happens when you inhale cannabis smoke? Unfortunately, it's not all good news for your lungs. The smoke can irritate your bronchial passages and lungs, leading to inflammation, coughing, and increased mucus production, things we've heard about chain smoking. Over time, this can result in symptoms that mimic those of chronic bronchitis, a condition characterized by persistent inflammation of the airways. On top of that, smoking cannabis can also impair the function of the cilia, the tiny hair-like structures lining your respiratory tract that help clear out mucus and debris. When these cilia are not working at full capacity, you become more vulnerable to respiratory infections as your lungs' natural defense system is compromised. It's like your lungs are trying to clean house, but the vacuum cleaner is on the fritz. Not ideal. But the story doesn't just end there. THC, which we just talked about, actually has immunomodulatory properties, meaning it can alter your body's ability to fight off infections, not in a good way. As you can imagine, this is particularly concerning for those with already compromised immune systems, as they may be at a higher risk for pulmonary infections when using cannabis. Now, let's take a closer look at what scientific literature reveals about cannabis's impact on lung health. Numerous studies have consistently shown that regular cannabis smokers are more prone to experiencing symptoms of chronic bronchitis compared to non-smokers. We're talking about persistent coughing, wheezing, and shortness of breath. Not exactly a walk in the park for your respiratory system. It's worth pointing out though, the evidence for cannabis's long-term effects on lung function is a bit more nuanced. Data emerging from other quarters of the scientific world has made it clear that when cannabis use escalates to heavy, habitual levels, it's a totally different story. In these scenarios, individuals may find themselves facing a decline in lung capacity, which in turn leads to difficulty in performing activities that require optimal pulmonary function. This could include a range of issues from struggling to catch one's breath during exercise, to facing challenges in activities that were previously manageable. Interestingly, the manner in which cannabis is consumed can also play a role in its impact on the lungs, though it's rather tough to draw a complete conclusion. But from what we know so far, methods such as joints, bongs, or pipes introduce a variety of combustion products that can irritate the lung tissue and contribute to issues over time. Plus, there's been growing concern about the potential association between chronic cannabis smoking and the development of lung cancer. Although the research hasn't definitively confirmed this link, it's a risk factor that cannot be ignored, especially for heavy, long-term smokers. While the jury may still be out on this one, it's better to sit on the side of caution when it comes to your lung health. At this point, you may be wondering how smoking cannabis stacks up against smoking tobacco in terms of respiratory risks. While both substances expose your lungs to harmful chemicals when combusted and inhaled, there are some notable differences that you must consider. First things first, tobacco smoking has been unequivocally linked to an increased risk of lung cancer and various other respiratory diseases. In contrast, the evidence linking cannabis smoking to lung cancer is less conclusive, but this might be because of the fact that tobacco users typically smoke more frequently and heavily compared to cannabis users. It's still crucial to recognize that cannabis smoke certainly contains a wide array of toxins and carcinogens that are also found in tobacco smoke. So, even if the risk may not be as pronounced, it's not entirely absent. Why risk it anyway, right? Oh, and tobacco smoke is obviously known for its addictive potential, courtesy of nicotine, which often leads to a higher frequency of smoking, and thus a greater cumulative exposure to harmful substances at the end of the day. Cannabis, while also potentially habit-forming, does not contain nicotine. Theoretically, this could result in different patterns of use, and possibly a lower cumulative dose of smoke inhaled over time. Cannabis has some distinctive properties that set it apart from tobacco, adding another layer of complexity to the discussion. For instance, THC and CBD have well-documented therapeutic benefits, such as pain relief, reduced inflammation, and anti-anxiety effects. These properties can be particularly valuable for individuals with certain medical conditions, providing an additional incentive for cannabis use beyond recreation. Who would have thought that a mere plant could have such diverse effects on the body and mind? Imagine being able to manage chronic pain, reduce seizure frequency, or alleviate the symptoms of PTSD without relying solely on traditional pharmaceuticals. It's like having a natural pharmacy right at your fingertips. But here's the really cool part. Cannabis can be consumed in so many different ways beyond just smoking. Vaporization, edibles, and tinctures are all popular alternatives that offer unique benefits and experiences. Vaporizing, for example, is when you heat the cannabis to a temperature that releases the active compounds without producing smoke. No smoke, no harm, for the most part. You see, while these alternative consumption methods may seem like a magic formula, you must always remember that they come with their own set of risks and considerations. Edibles, for example, can be incredibly potent and long-lasting, making it easy to consume too much and experience adverse effects like anxiety or paranoia. So, whether you choose to smoke, vape, eat, or even drink your cannabis, always remember to start low, go slow, and listen to your body. And if you're using cannabis for medicinal purposes, always consult with a healthcare professional who can help you navigate the complex world of cannabis therapeutics. Speaking of which, there are several harm reduction strategies that you can employ to minimize the potential impact on your lung health when dabbling in cannabis. First and foremost, consider opting for the non-smoking methods of consumption that we just discussed. No smoke, no harm, remember? But hey, if you do prefer to smoke or vaporize cannabis, invest in high-quality vaporizers that allow for precise temperature control. Why? Well, it can help reduce the formation of harmful byproducts that occur at high temperatures. Simple. Oh, and a quick side note, be sure to clean your smoking devices regularly to prevent the buildup of toxic residues. Moving on, it's just as crucial to be mindful of the source and quality of your cannabis products. Opt for cannabis that has been thoroughly tested for contaminants like pesticides, mold, and heavy metals, as these substances can pose additional risks to your lung health when inhaled. And pay attention to your individual risk factors and health status. If you have pre-existing respiratory conditions, such as asthma or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD for short, or a weakened immune system, you are likely more susceptible to the negative effects of cannabis smoke. It goes without saying, once again, that it's super important to consult with a healthcare professional to develop a personalized approach to using cannabis. At the end of the day, navigating the complex relationship between cannabis and lung health requires a commitment to informed and responsible use. By staying up to date on the latest scientific research, exploring safer consumption methods, and remaining attuned to your individual health needs, you can make the right decisions about your cannabis use. Never forget that your lung health is a precious asset that deserves to be protected. While the allure of cannabis's potential benefits may be strong, it's equally important to be aware of the risks and take proactive steps to mitigate them. This means being honest with yourself about your usage patterns, seeking support if you're struggling to maintain moderation, and prioritizing open communication with healthcare providers about your cannabis use. It all really comes down to one thing. The key to minimizing the impact of cannabis on your lung health lies in striking a balance between the potential benefits and risks and making informed choices that align with your individual circumstances and goals. By approaching cannabis use with mindfulness, responsibility, and a commitment to harm reduction, you can not only enjoy all the positive aspects, but also safeguard your respiratory well-being while at it. Get the best of both worlds. We've covered a lot of ground today, talking all about a plant that has its ups and downs. While the relationship between cannabis and respiratory health is complex, one thing is clear. Informed and responsible use is crucial. Your lungs are your friends, and they deserve to be treated with care and respect. So take a deep breath, of fresh air, of course, and make the right choices. Stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay safe out there. Thanks for tuning into Mind Heal. Until next time, this is Josh signing off. Peace out.